Prepare for one of the most dramatic immigration crises Britain has ever seen. In just 2 short weeks, a record-breaking 3,197 migrants have crossed the English Channel, braving freezing temperatures and treacherous waters to reach British shores. As Britain's resources strain under the pressure, Labour's Keir Starmer is promising swift action. But is he making genuine moves or just political noise? With soaring migrant numbers, Starmer has rushed to secure deals with European nations and is pushing for a £75 million pledge to bolster Britain's border security. However, as the public grows anxious, critics are tearing apart Starmer's plan, calling it nothing more than a publicity stunt that will do little to halt the tide of migrants arriving each day. And as if the pressure from the migrant crisis weren't enough, the newly re-elected US President Donald Trump has raised the stakes even further, hinting at crushing tariffs on British imports that could plunge the UK into an economic nightmare. As Trump and his inner circle send veiled threats across the Atlantic, Starmer is juggling foreign policy blunders, migration challenges, and scandalous union ties that many say are controlling his Labour government's every move. So, can Starmer pull Britain out of crisis, or will his promises be exposed as empty gestures in the face of a spiralling disaster? Let's dive into the scandal that's gripping Britain from both sides of the Channel. The English Channel migrant crisis has reached unprecedented proportions. From October 24th to November 6th, a shocking 3,197 people crossed the Channel in small, overcrowded boats, a figure that makes these 2 weeks the busiest period yet in 2024. The Home Office has confirmed that this year's total is now a staggering 31,842 migrants, marking a 19% increase compared to last year. And while crossing the Channel is always perilous, this year has seen an alarming increase in fatalities, with 66 lives lost so far. Just last week, 4 bodies were discovered in waters off Calais, adding to the mounting death toll that highlights the dire risks involved. Labour's Keir Starmer has seized on this crisis, hoping to present himself as the leader who will finally curb illegal migration. At a recent summit in Budapest, Starmer announced new agreements with Serbia, North Macedonia, and Kosovo to block smuggling routes, bringing migrants toward Britain. Alongside this, he's pushing for a revival of pre-Brexit intelligence sharing with the EU, including the European Arrest Warrant and Europol membership, which he claims will give the UK the upper hand against traffickers. Starmer has even pledged a £75 million investment into the UK's Border Security Command in hopes of tightening Britain's defences. Yet many critics argue that Starmer's bold moves are little more than flashy announcements designed to win public favour without addressing the reality on the ground. The Labour leader's proposals, they say, lack concrete measures and rely heavily on international cooperation, which is notoriously difficult to maintain. In particular, skeptics point to Starmer's Balkan agreements, questioning whether partnerships with Serbia, North Macedonia and Kosovo will make any meaningful difference when smuggling routes shift constantly to evade enforcement. And as migrant numbers continue to rise, conservative voices accuse Starmer of being all talk and no action, blaming him for failing to protect Britain's borders and prevent further tragedies. As if the Channel crisis weren't enough, Starmer now faces a potentially devastating challenge from across the Atlantic. The recent election of Donald Trump has brought new economic uncertainty to the UK, with the president-elect threatening harsh tariffs on British imports. Trump's America First approach is likely to impose economic penalties on allied countries, and Britain, with its shaky post-Brexit footing, appears to be at the top of the list. Should these tariffs be implemented, the impact on UK industries could be catastrophic, with prices soaring for consumers and businesses alike. The tensions between Starmer's Labour government and the Trump administration are only worsening. In recent weeks, Trump's allies have made a series of inflammatory remarks, openly ridiculing Labour's policies and casting doubt on Starmer's leadership. J.D. Vance, Trump's vice president-elect, recently took a swipe at Labour during a speech, joking that Britain under Labour could become the first Islamist country to go nuclear. Meanwhile, Donald Trump Jr. slammed the UK's political climate, describing Labour's woke policies as evidence of absolute lunacy. And in a scathing warning, Trump's former chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, claimed that Trump remembers everything and would not forget Labour's previous criticisms of his administration. British political insiders worry these tensions could have dire consequences as Trump's looming tariffs threaten to upend Britain's economic recovery. Nigel Farage, always ready to weigh in on UK-US relations, recently argued that Britain might lose a chance at a favourable trade deal unless Starmer abandons his European focus and builds stronger ties with Trump's America. According to Farage, Trump's pro-British instincts could benefit the UK, but only if Starmer puts national interest over Labour's traditionally Eurocentric stance. For now, Trump's trade stance represents a serious dilemma for Starmer, who must balance his push for European cooperation with the potential economic fallout of angering the US. And while Starmer faces criticism abroad, he's also entangled in controversy at home. Just after the US election, Labour quietly released a 76-page document listing its ministers' union affiliations, a move timed to draw minimal media attention. This document reveals that 9 in 10 Labour ministers are active union members, with GMB, Unite and Unison ranking as the most popular unions among Labour's MPs. GMB alone boasts 56 members in Labour's ranks, while Unite and Unison contributed substantial funds to Labour's recent election campaign, including a massive £1.5 million from Unison. For many voters, this revelation raises troubling questions about Labour's priorities and its independence from union influence. In the months since Labour took office, the party has approved significant pay raises for various public sector workers, including a 14% wage increase for some train drivers and sizable raises for teachers, nurses and prison staff. Critics argue these decisions are not motivated by genuine concern for public sector workers, but rather by Labour's loyalty to union backers, who poured millions into the party's election efforts. As this story unfolds, Starmer's handling of the Channel crisis and his government's union ties have sparked doubts about Labour's transparency and its commitment to the public. With voters increasingly suspicious of Labour's union ties, some worry the party's policy decisions may be influenced more by union demands than by what's best for Britain. And as Trump's tariffs loom over an economy already grappling with inflation and energy costs, Starmer faces the daunting task of proving his government's priorities are aligned with the interests of the British people. At this critical moment, Keir Starmer finds himself balancing multiple crises. With public frustration over migrant crossings, economic uncertainty from Trump's tariffs, and accusations of union payback deals, Starmer's political future may depend on how he navigates these treacherous waters. Can he secure the UK's economy, restore public trust, and truly bring order to Britain's borders? Or will he find himself overpowered by the powerful unions, unyielding criminal networks, and diplomatic threats that have shaped this scandal? Only time will tell if Starmer's promises will deliver real change, or if they're merely political smokescreens.